there's gonna be people when you're older, you're gonna save lives, and they're gonna need this information. Men, women, they're gonna need this information. Children, and there's lives you're gonna save in the future. And if you give up now at 8 years old, if you give up now at 9 years old, and you say, "I don't care, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to just." You can talk all you want, spirit of compassion. You could ramble all you want, and I'm just going to give you the big, whatever, and say, "No way, I'm not. I'm not doing this." And spirit of compassion said, "You have to understand something. If you shut this valve off now, the people that won't have a chance to get their lives back. Do you understand this?" Spirit of compassion says, "Or do you understand this decision you're making?" And I had a fight with that. I said, "I don't know the people I'm going to save down the road." And Spirit of compassion said, "Chronic illness is going to explode. Everybody's going to have a symptom, Anthony. Everybody's going to have 10 symptoms. Everybody's going to have a sickness. Everybody's going to have a diagnosis, and the industries aren't going to save them because the industries don't care because they bankroll. They make the money off of everybody being sick, and you have to care." And I had to grapple with this, and I said, "But why do I have to care about people I never even met and I'm never going to know? Why should I care?" And I had to think about it. And Spirit of compassion said, "Listen, you're 8 years old. Sure, you're not going to care about people you never met and don't know that are 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. The people that you're going to save, the people that this information is going to save." And I said to Spirit of compassion, why is it me? I'm not the one saving them. And Spirit of compassion said, "No, you're the messenger. You're going to give them the information. That's what's going to save them." And I had to really grapple with that. That was a rough one for me when I was young. I had to make this mental impression, this guarantee in my consciousness and soul and heart that I'm going to do this. It's not going to be about living my dreams, whatever my dreams were going to be. I had dreams and aspirations. I wanted to do things in my life. I wanted to live my life and do different things. I didn't want to do this. I didn't decide this for myself. This isn't a picnic. This isn't fun. I didn't want this. And I had to make a decision right there, right in my soul, right in my heart, right in my spirit. And I had to say, okay, all right, I'm going to care. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to care. And that's how it went. It's just, when I think about it, I get choked up. It was really hard. It was a battle, and it wasn't just in that moment. There was a couple of moments in my life where I just got to a point where, my God, can I do this anymore? Can I push forward anymore? Can I get through another day? And look, Cleanse to Heal is here, and it's gonna save thousands and thousands. I mean, that book, Spirit of Compassion said, we can't stop this book from getting out there. Mm-hmm. You just have to get this book done. And so, here I am.
Man, you got such an incredible story, man, really. And we really do appreciate you sharing that with us and just diving into it. I can only imagine how tough it must have been. And I don't think it gets talked about enough when you do a lot of the interviews and, on the Instagrams and stuff. I don't think you mentioned that side because it really does. It strikes a chord with people when they hear that you've gone through a lot of this stuff yourself and you've had to overcome so much yourself, man. When they're going through a lot of these health struggles, they know you're right with them. You've done this stuff for years. It's you felt the pain too. You're a human being just like everybody else is.
The thing is, it's just the reason why I don't talk about it enough, and I haven't talked about it because it's never been about me. It's always been about everybody suffering and struggling. That's what I'm focused on. It's if I make it the Anthony Williams show, which I've never done, if I make it the Anthony Williams show, and I could jump into the Flash. I've been asked to do so many TV shows, meaning like TV series on mainstream networks for years. Like, let's get you up here. Let's get you doing, hearing Spirit of Compassion and doing these miracle gifted reads on people, and all this stuff. And I've been asked to do everything under the sun. And I always say, well, that's the Anthony Williams show. That's just good. Now it's just going to be about Anthony Williams, and it's not going to be really about the suffering and the struggling. It's going to be cookie cut, and it's going to be about my gift. And I don't want it that way. I don't want it that way. I mean, I love talking about it when we're talking about it, But I just want it on the people that are, I mean, they're losing their lives or they're losing their sanity because they're on Mattress Island. You know, when you're stuck on Mattress Island, man, and your world gets small, it's brutal. It's brutal. And the reason why you're giggling because you've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you've been there, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, and that's the only way you can actually like chuckle about it because, man, when you've been there, you're just like shaking your head, right? And Mattress Island, you know, and Couch Island really, really, really stinks. It really stinks. And living with symptoms and having it take the quality of your life away, you know, like, and I've been married to that. That's what I'm married to. I'm married to you're suffering, you're struggling, your quality of life is diminishing. You're on Mattress Island, you're on Couch Island, you're going through hell and back. Well, that's what I'm about. That's what I'm here for. I believe in you. I know you can heal. And so yeah.
I want to dive into a couple things I'll come back maybe towards the end on a couple things you mentioned, but I do want to dive into some specifics here. What, like, talking about the book here, Cleanse the Heal, I got Medical Medium, which was a complete game changer in my life. One of the biggest things that stuck out with Medical Medium, and I'm sure is in Cleanse the Heal in more detail and stuff, is one of the biggest misconceptions that health has today, mainstream health has today, and that's like things like Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, like you mentioned before. A lot of these conditions are actually caused by different viruses, which you did allude to earlier.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Yeah. It's funny because I broke the back of the Lyme disease trap. I broke its back. And what that means is that it was for years and years and years bacterial. That's what they thought. Mm-hmm. Science and research thought it was bacterial. Okay. And they brainwashed every single doctor that it was bacterial. That's what happened, right? So every Lyme doctor, it's bacterial. We got to bombard people with lots of antibiotics, tons of antibiotics. And the wasteland and the hell, I mean, that people have gone through and the broken dreams and broken lives from decades of a mistake of it being bacterial. It's a legendary screw up at an epic proportion. And the Lyme labs are part of it. They're all part of it. And it's an epic, epic disaster. And guess what? Lyme disease, because of the Medical Medium Book 1 of putting the truth out, and millions of books of Medical Medium Book 1s went out all over the world and got the truth out, that Lyme disease was always viral. And what had transpired was doctors' offices having the Medical Medium books in them now. Lyme doctors' offices Lyme doctors that know it wasn't bacteria. Now they've accepted it. And it's what has transpired is the industry now took it out of bacterial, even though there's a lot of old dogs left. I call old dogs, which are, you know, the doctor's still thinking it's bacterial and still going that route. And Lyme Labs holding on for dear life that it's bacterial to save themselves. And meanwhile, the industry shifted it and they put it into autoimmune. What that means is, listen to this. That means they don't know the cause of Lyme disease anymore. OMG. What that means is the industry admits they don't know the cause of Lyme disease. And antibiotics, just so people know in the audience right here, you have Borrelia and Bartonella, Babesia, they die easy with antibiotics. They're not superbugs. Those aren't superbugs that they say cause Lyme disease. Mm-hmm. That's not a superbug. MRSA is a superbug. And people have a better cure rate when they use an antibiotic with MRSA than they do with Lyme disease with antibiotics. Isn't it interesting? Yeah. Because Lyme disease was never about bacteria. It's viral. That's why nobody got better with all the bombardment, decades of horrific antibiotic treatments, just so the drug companies could just bankroll. Literally, I mean, those treatments in women and the devastation, and men, and the devastation to the families that occurred when it was viral to begin with. It's really unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
It's sad too. And so I want to mention to autoimmune in a second too, but the viral thing, like why are viruses so prevalent now? Why do basically everybody that you talk to and you come across with these chronic conditions, everybody has some type of viral load in them? The Epstein-Barr, the HSV6, I think you called it, and there's 30 varieties of shingles. Why do people have so many of these viruses and they're so prevalent?
Well, they were all raised and grown in labs many, many years ago and somehow escaped. They were raised on eggs in labs in the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s, all through the decades. And they were raised in labs and somehow were released in the world. They were patented. They were released in the world somehow. And they were released into the world without doctors knowing. So doctors weren't allowed to know. Mm-hmm. See how it works? Yeah. Where a doctor had to discover one. See how it goes? You got all these sick people. Here you go, 1950. People are piling into the doctor's office with symptoms doctors never seen before in the history of chronic illness. Women piling into doctors' offices, including men too, and they're piling in with all the heart palpitations that never happened before, and the temperature issues, and cool and hot, and sweating like crazy, and mild that are unexplainable, and numbness, aches and pains, and dizziness, and vertigo, and ringing in the ears, and body aches, and fatigue, piling into the doctor's offices in 1950, right? And nobody. I mean, I talked to old town doctors that were like 95 years old that witnessed this back in that day, and said they couldn't believe their eyes. That was the explosion of the viral scene. Somehow, the Epstein-Barrs, the shingles varieties, the cytomegaloviruses, the HHV6s, HHV7s, just got on the scene. How did they all get on the scene at once was just unbelievable. Instead, there was no answer in 1950. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know these viruses had anything to do with anything. See, they didn't even know. Science and research were keeping it. See, there's different kinds of forms and levels of science and research. Doctors had no idea. They're just sitting in their doctor's offices working. They're just working their trade. They're killing themselves trying to find out, hey, what's wrong with this person coming in? And then they have no other explanation besides maybe you're crazy. Maybe these symptoms, maybe Justin, hey, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Whoever's having a symptom, you're crazy, right? But what happened was there had to be virologists that had to discover some of these viruses that were already let out of the gate somehow. They were raised in labs and let out of the gate without doctors knowing. So then you have to have a guy like Anthony Epstein, who's a virologist, and he stumbles across in the 1960s the Epstein-Barr virus. So he stumbles across it, and he's like, what is this thing? What is this? And it's that's how it works, where it's like an accidental discovery, but those babies already been out. Where they come from, why is everybody like just dealing with them? Why are we all suffering from all the symptoms they create? And you might be, you might be thinking, Justin, like, well, here's, or somebody in the audience might be thinking like, wait a minute, they create all these symptoms. Well, no one knew all these viruses created all these symptoms. And that's medical medium information. Mm-hmm. So we're still in a land of, doctors are finally now, doctors that pick up the medical medium books and everything and the information, they're like, you're right, Epstein-Barr could be the cause of this person's tingles and numbness. It could be the cause of this Hashimoto's thyroiditis. But see, that's the whole point, is science and research still wants everybody to believe that it's not viruses that are bothering you. No, there's nothing. No, it's not viruses that are bothering you. Your body is just destroying itself and attacking itself. And it's your hormones that are bothering you, or it's your genes that are bothering you. You got bad genes. Or maybe it's a spiritual issue that's bothering you. Maybe you're not thinking positive enough. Maybe you're creating it with your thoughts and you're not thinking positive enough. See, that's the whole point, is everybody's getting the blame put on them. Wait a minute, I'm sick with all these crazy symptoms and can't function, and I got brain fog and fatigue because I'm creating this with my own thoughts, or my body's attacking itself, or it's my genes. And we're still in that place. But the reason why the medical medium information exploded, and the books, millions of books around the world, and people getting their lives back, is because the answers about it all being viral is actually in those books. And I was given that viral information when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. Spirit of Compassion saying, here's all the different viruses that are in people. They're going to name them down the road. They're going to find them down the road. And this is what they are. And it's incredible.